Welcome to Good Game, your no BS insights for crypto founders.
Today, everyone's just so jaded, even though the prices are much higher. So they're complaining about the lack of new use cases.
Well, speculation is a use case and they don't like it. The thing that's happening right now is that speculation is becoming a feature as part of every new product offering. The very notion of speculating is what people don't like. And that's what's separating the old guard from the new guard. Speculation, to them, it seems like a feature that shouldn't be for the masses.
Right. It should be a thing that's only available to them. Like
Yes.
Speculation is what made them rich in the first place. They don't want that to be available to the masses. Is that what the psychology is?
Yeah.
Looking for your next startup idea in crypto? Check out our request for startups list and get inspired at alliance.xyz/ideas.
Lots has happened in crypto. Actually, not really.
Not really.
It's so, I don't know what's happening. It's, I feel like a sense of, I don't know, fatigue. I'm tired. I don't know if it's just the chop and the random attacks on Ansem or the random messages about how to make Ethereum more like Solana. So I feel like there's two camps, right? There's the consumer camp and then there's the infra camp. And
No.
okay, go ahead.
There's an optimistic camp and there's a cynical camp.
Sure.
And a lot of big accounts are very cynical.
A lot of the, I think, okay, I'm going to be...
Let me find whatever Donald said.
Okay, I think it's the old versus the new.
The old versus the new.
So, like, Gainsey put this tweet out, which I thought was quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "This isn't the last cycle of crypto, but it's probably the last cycle of old guard, CT. Nobody from 2017 and earlier is having fun, and most of us are washed, irrelevant, replaced anyways. A lot of people going to leave in the bear market and not ever come back or minimally post. So I feel as if we're in this like interesting timing where a lot of new people are coming into crypto, and the meta has now shifted so much that the old guard really can't stand the new metas anymore.
Is it because they got too rich?
I think it's two reasons. One, they got too rich. Two, they're pretty happy with their current methodology. Why should they change it for any reason? And I think that's a part of aging.
They're not happy with other people getting rich. They just want to stay rich themselves.
They do.
They don't want new metas because the new metas are not good for them. The new
it's
metas
not good for them.
You have to keep up with the new metas. The new metas are good for the newcomers.
Exactly. And they don't have enough skin in, like they have too much money. Like they don't need to spend, countless hours on Pump.fun or others to look for the new meta, right?
Yeah. And
so I do think it's old and new, and then two is, the rich.
Yeah. I do feel like a lot of the cynicism comes from the old guards.
It has been recently. Yeah. It's almost similar to, if you remember 2017 or 2020, where the Bitcoin maxes just got so loud. Do you remember that? I don't hear about them anymore. But there was a point where it got really high and I was just getting really annoyed. So I started to mute all of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the old guard at that time.
The Bitcoin Twitter is a different Twitter from crypto Twitter. These are two distinct social graphs.
They are. A lot of the older, at least from what I gathered, a lot of the older crowd were like maxis or really kind of stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
Now I think it's shifted to old meta versus new meta.
Someone said recently that, back in 2020, everyone was optimistic despite prices being much lower than today, right? Mm-hmm. And today everyone's just so jaded, even though the prices are much higher. Like it's almost as like, so they're complaining about the lack of new use cases.
Well, speculation is a use case and they don't like it. The thing that's happening right now is that speculation is becoming a feature as part of every new product offering. The very notion of speculating is what people don't like. And that's what's separating the old guard from the new guard. Speculation, to them, it seems like a feature that shouldn't be for the masses.
Right. It should be a thing that's only available to them. Like speculation is what made them rich in the first place. They don't want that to be available to the masses. Is that what the psychology is?
Yeah. So here, I put a tweet out the other day and I want to actually hear your thoughts on this. Crypto trading and speculation are becoming more like a competitive sport than traditional value investing. This shift will only intensify over time. Value investors often view this negatively. Bad actors have exploited the market over the past decade, taking advantage of unsuspecting users. But what they aren't seeing is the fact that there's a new group of speculators that are emerging that's willing to play the sport, knowingly know that they could lose all their money, but the promise of winning the game could be life-changing, and they're willing to go all in like poker. Think of each token as a sports team and speculation as a game. There are a lot of knowns and unknowns, such as the dev that launched a token. How much of the supply do they own? Are they malicious? Are they good actors? Does a meme have a brand? Will a CTO stick around? Etc. Value investors just see dumping and rug pulls. But some are okay with the risk and are willing to play the game. If you see this as a sport, consider Pump.Fun as the early battlegrounds, and DEXs and aggregators as the playing field. Wallets, bots, and data products are tools to level up against competitors. Something like that. So I think what's happening is it's becoming its own thing, and people can't understand it or they can't stand it.
Yeah, it does sound like something that was written by someone who doesn't do real sports. I'm joking.
All right. For the audience, I'm not a sports person. I don't watch sports at all. Qiao does. He's the opposite. But does that sound like a... Look, I played sports when I was in high school, but that's about it. And I was the guy that was always benched at all times. Which made me hate this game even more.
Maybe let's talk about something that makes us feel optimistic.
Yeah.
I don't
think there's anything.
What makes you feel optimistic?
I don't think there's anything. I'm just playing. Oh, man. Well, okay. So we talked about like speculation becoming more productized, and it's, kind of like you could think of shitcoining as a new type of game. We're also seeing this on the infrastructure side, aren't we? With MEV, right? Like you could argue also that those that have validators, that have builders, relayers, they're also finding a way to grab MEV competitively with other builders and validators in the space, right? So isn't that like also happening in the back end?
Yeah.
Or is that being primarily centralized?
Oh, it's super centralized.
Yeah.
It's super centralized. The block builders are, I don't know, like maybe a handful of them control.
It's still competitive though, right?
It's competitive maybe among 5 people, 5 entities.
Okay.
But it's so funny because MEV is basically shitcoining for.
Well, where is the MEV coming from? It's coming from shitcoining.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the infra people hate the shitcoiners. Shitcoiners hate the infra people. But in reality, they both need each other.
Yeah. What boggles my mind is everyone hates the shitcoiners and the speculators, but that's where their profit comes from.
Exactly.
Like the MEV traders, their profit comes from the shitcoiners.
Yeah.
And the validators, Ethereum, the whole ultrasound money narrative is based on the fact that there's shitcoiners trading, and then all that a proportion of their transactions ultimately flows through the validator, proposer, and all that stuff, all the MEV stuff, and ultimately goes to the validators. That's how the yield is generated.
Yep.
Some of the real yield on Ethereum comes from the shitcoiners.
Exactly.
Paying the blockchain to play the game. So
really what you're saying is in order for a layer 1, layer 2 to be successful, you need to have shitcoining.
At least in order for the layer 1 and the layer 2s to be economically secure today, they need shitcoiners.
So yeah, it was funny because I was at a conference, Dubai Token 2049, and I was on a panel with Santiago, Jason from Folius, and Tristan from Backpack. And I think 40% of the conversation, I wouldn't say 40, I'd say like 20% of the conversation was around Pump.Fun, which is, essentially a shitcoin launchpad. So somebody tweeted this out publicly saying like, 40% of the conversation was about Pump.Fun. And all the infra guys on the replies were like, if this is it, nuke everybody on in this photo. I'm like, little do you know, all the profits that you generate are from shitcoiners. I found that to be quite hilarious. Hey, what about I thought there was an interesting chart that you published a few days ago.
Talk about that.
Yeah, why don't you share your screen and share that chart, which I think it's a lot of it's very true. Like we could talk about each meta quickly.
Yeah, Murad.
Murad, what's up with Murad? Like, I mean, like, look, I think
Murad went from Bitcoin
fucking BTC
maximalism
Maxi
all the way to shitcoin maxi or meme coin maxi.
Like, he's very polarized, and he goes all in. Like, do you remember when he went all in on Bitcoin at the? He blew himself up, right?
He shorted.
He shorted at the bottom.
As a 30-year long-term Bitcoin maxi bull, investor, he shorted Bitcoin at the bottom. Anyway,
either way, now he took a break. I think he raised money. He took a break after that debacle, and now he full ported into meme coins.
Yep.
All right.
So surprisingly, so this is the chart, and surprisingly, there isn't much disagreement. Like people seem to agree with this, except some people, ask where is meme coins on this chart.
We haven't talked a lot about gaming.
Yeah.
Gaming, I think NFTs. I completely agree. I think NFTs have bottomed.
I think NFTs is in a long bottoming process.
What do you mean by long bottoming process?
I mean, bottoming typically lasts a while.
Yeah.
Like CryptoPunks has been down only for the last 3 months. Even Pudgy's isn't doing that well.
Pudgy's is after Luca announced Abstract, which is a new layer 2. I think it went up maybe 2 ETH.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Do you want to quickly touch on the Pudgy layer 2?
Yeah, we can touch on Pudgy. So Luca team launched Abstract Chain, which was essentially a culmination of an acquisition, which is Saigar's Frame, which was an NFT marketplace. And I think it was supposed to be on its own layer 2, which made it different from everything else. So Igloo Incorporated acquired Frame, and then it rebranded to Abstract. And Pudgy's is going to have its own layer 2. Now, there's a lot of pushback from the community, and not Pudgy community, but the rest of the community. And I think people finally got it that there's too many layer 2s. But I mean, you and I knew about this like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this on our pod. So it's not anything new for our audience. But now the community finally realized that there's too many layer 2s, and the person they're going to attack is Luca. But it turns out Luca is the right person, the right company or team to build something like this versus all the other layer 2s that we're seeing. Like a layer 2 for real world assets, or a layer 2 for, I don't know. We've seen so many different versions of layer 2s that are out there. They're trying to command a very high valuation. But at least personally, I think that for Pudgy's, it makes a lot of sense. And I talked about this in our last pod, but Pudgy's has distribution. They have 20 billion views on Giphy. They have, 2 different NFT community collections. They have wide appeal from an audience perspective. They've sold over 1 million toys, of which each one has some sort of identity marker that's tied to a chain. I'm not sure exactly what he has in plan for that, but he has a lot of interesting elements that gives him a very good story to build something really interesting and new on a layer 2.
Did he share what kind of layer 2 does he want it to be?
Oh, he's just said more information will be revealed soon. So there isn't enough information that's out there. So it's hard to say. He also retweeted something about Pudgy Gaming. And he has a separate Twitter handle for Pudgy Gaming. So the way I could see this happening is I could see, 2 things. One is starting to think more about this. Each of the toys has some sort of QR code or identity marker that's tied to ZK Sync, from what I read a long time ago. And now ZK Sync is going hyperchain, right? Lens Protocol is building on ZK Sync. So based on just some of the info that's out there, I am guessing that he's going to be launching this on ZK Sync. Not sure if this is true or not, but I'm just hypothesizing.
Well, why do you say ZK Sync? Because it could also be an OP stack or Arbitrum Orbit.
It could be.
Or even Polygon CDK, which isn't really ready. Okay.
So Pudgy Penguins has a partnership with ZK Sync. New wallets created has scaled to 59,000 in 6 months. This was in March, so this whole information is older.
Okay.
So they're shy of 11,000 unique wallets. 7,744 penguins were bridged. Okay. So there's some sort of partnership between Pudgy's and ZK Sync. So it's just a guess here. He hasn't revealed any information.
We'll need to come back to this. We haven't finished.
Yeah.
But look, in general, the idea of starting off building a brand or a product that is successful and has a lot of distribution, then turning into a layer 2, that makes sense to me. So Pudgy's is one of those cases. Arguably, Blast is also another case of this, right? So start building the Blur NFT marketplace and then turn into a layer 2. That makes sense to me. Avo makes sense. So Avo built a derivative trading platform and then turned into a layer 2 to protect the MEV from getting leaked to the layer 1 and also to basically own the block space, right? Like all these instances of an app turning into a layer 2 makes sense to me. But where I struggle is the number of generic layer 2s launching. There's just way too many of them. And I think a lot of them are just not going to make it because there's very little differentiation on the tech side. So Blast launched last week, right? Was it last week?
Yeah, the token launched.
The token launched last week.
Yeah.
And well, number one, I was very shocked that it didn't have Coinbase or Binance listing on day one.
Coinbase ended up listing it 4 hours later after launch.
Okay. But it didn't have Binance.
They don't. Yeah. Look.
And currently it's trading at 2 billion FDV. And I would consider Blast as one of the better layer 2s in terms of traction. And yet it's only trading at 2 billion. Like, is this meta coming to an end? I feel like it's coming to an end. The number of generic layer 2s, I think this meta is coming to an end unless you have really good technology. Really, really good technology.
All right. Just really good buzzwords and narratives otherwise.
Yeah.
And so I think the market is just looking at like something like, I don't know, Mega ETH or Monad.
And also, I was thinking last night, the layer 2s are so commoditized. And what led me to think that is that all these, even the leading layer 2s today, they are paying a lot of money to developers to build on top of them. So in some cases, they're paying 8 figures to land a medium to high profile startup to build on top of them. And this happens across the board, like Optimism, Arbitrum, especially Polygon, right? From back in the day, like they paid a shit ton of money to Starbucks, ZK Sync as well. All these leading layer 2s are paying a lot of money to acquire developers, which makes me think that they are quite commoditized.
Everyone's fighting for the same customers, and the supply and demand. Supply is almost stagnant. I mean, it's growing. I wouldn't say, but it's growing at a rate of, I don't know. I don't even know the percentage anymore. I got to look at Electric's developer report. But you have this like slow growth developer pool. Then you have this high growth builders pool or layer 2 pool. They're all trying to go after the same customers. And so that's on the EVM side. And then Solana really has no competitors. So from a Rust perspective, right? So it's just an interesting dynamic that's playing out. I thought the Blast launch was interesting also because there's one key thing that I didn't see, which was the listing of Binance. And historically, Binance, like I think if you look at it, most of the well-known launches will have Binance and Coinbase at launch at day one. This was missing. Speculating here, but probably because, giving up percentages of tokens to Binance may not be feasible. And so going without Binance was an interesting move from Pac-Man. Because from what I gathered, talking to founders, you don't give up tokens to Coinbase. You only give up tokens from what I've so far that's the information that I have. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the tier 2 exchanges, you have to pay them a flat fee.
Yeah.
Coinbase doesn't do either, I think.
Yeah. And so if that's interesting, right? And then if you look at Binance takes between 5 to 10% of tokens. And really why they take it is to give it to the people that are staking BNB. I'm not saying all of it, but a majority of it goes to stakers. And the stakers bring in attention, volume, right? And it's like a interesting flywheel that they've created. But I don't know if it's like a lot of founders that we've talked to say that it's worth giving up 5 to 10% because they get the attention, they get the growth, etc. But I would like to see a world where you don't pay a fee, right? You don't pay a fee in terms of your tokens. You just launch it publicly. Like if you remember, there are a lot of great launches that's happened where it's gone unnoticed. And then 6 months to a year later, the meta starts to build up and people start to buy into the token, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that approach where the token is perceived weak and no one's giving attention to it, but you give a lot of time for the market to digest it and then create a narrative versus launching something with a very high FDV where we know that the price is just going to go one way, which is down. So I like the low FDV launches and allow the community to digest, build that narrative, and then go up.
That might be the new meta.
I agree. I think that's how founders should be launching from now on. It's the best meta. Like, you don't have to be stressed out. Like founders that launch at a very high FDV, you have to continuously show news and product updates to justify the valuation that you're trading at. And eventually you're just going to get burned out.
Okay. What else stands out on this chart?
We've talked a lot about stablecoin already. Bitcoin is down only in terms of ordinals and runes. And one of our audience members replied back talking about why we didn't talk about Bitcoin or ordinals.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe we should touch on that and see what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the market the speculators they can only keep one thing in mind. Like, you can't throw too many new metas because they just can't digest it.
Mm-hmm.
And right now the meta, the tension has gone away from runes and ordinals because the UX is pretty bad, right? As we all know. And it's very hard for them. Like, there isn't a marketplace that's as liquid as Solana right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very natural for all the new metas to be created on Solana. That's where the meta generation is happening.
I mean, even the liquid markets for runes were on Solana. Like, Solana was the layer 2, for
100%. 100%.
Like, people had to bridge runes from Bitcoin to Solana, then trade there, then bridge back to settle.
That's right. So, I think maybe with OPCat coming and with the partnership with Starkware, building out new infra that could enable more liquid markets on layer 2s and runes could be interesting. I think it's going to take some time for them to build anything that's going to be as comparable to like a layer 2 on Ethereum. We're seeing some new layer 2s like Bob, build on Bob, that's building for Bitcoin. But specifically for ordinals and runes, I just think it's going to take time for the meta to develop back again. But I'd say I'm not bearish at all. I just think this is very natural. And we had this huge liquidity influx into ordinals and runes. And over time, I think it's just the attention will come back.
What do you think of DeFi? So if you look at the chart, I purposely put DeFi not at the bottom, but after the bottom, like on the way up.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm insinuating that DeFi has seen the bottom.
I think that's fair to say.
I feel like we're really not excited to talk about this.
DeFi sucks. I love DeFi, but I don't see anything net new. It's just it's becoming more TradFi.
I think the most interesting thing about DeFi right now is that the major protocols like MakerDAO is making a lot of revenue. They're generating a lot of fees.
Yep.
And the price doesn't even look that expensive.
It doesn't.
Like you said, MakerDAO makes 100 million a year?
Yes. Revenue.
And FDV is like 2 billion?
2.5 billion.
Yeah. So
I think it's undervalued.
The P ratio looks, I'm talking like a boomer now, but the P ratio is not crazy.
Yep, it's not.
I was also looking at Velodrome and Aerodrome this morning. So these are DEXs.
They're the forks of Uniswap, right?
Are they forks?
I thought they were. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe they are, and with some modification. But Velodrome is the number one DEX on Optimism, and Aerodrome is the Base counterpart. And so Aerodrome is making 15 million monthly fees. 15 million Aerodrome. And the FDV is 700 million. Wait, this is crazy cheap.
Look, I think there's because of this dispersion that's happening, a lot of the DeFi stuff is very, very undervalued right now. I think that's the meta that I could get behind.
Yeah. Oh shit. Aerodrome is making like close to 200 mil a year.
Yep.
Okay. And it's currently trading at 700 FDV. That's crazy. The PE ratio is 3.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I think that's where we are right now.
Oh my God.
So do you,
Also, Velodrome is making about 25 a year. And the FDV is 150. And the PE ratio is 6. That is crazy.
Let's look at, Curve. Are you looking at FDV or are you looking at market cap?
I'm looking at FDV.
Okay.
Not market cap.
Okay, just making sure. Curve, 600 million. They're making about 40 million in annualized fees. I'm just looking at the major protocols right now. Aave's market cap is at 1.45 billion, and their annualized fees is 400 million. That's good. Revenue is 70 million. Fees, they're making 400 million. Revenue, they're making 70 million. That's all right. I think Velodrome sounds pretty good. So I guess, long story short, DeFi, nothing new or interesting, but they're profitable. And it's not reflected in the FTV of the token today, is I think what I've learned.
Yeah. So revenue is fees minus the portion paid to LPs.
Okay.
So fees doesn't really matter. What matters is revenue.
Revenue, yeah.
I mean, Lido seems pretty. Lido's price over revenue ratio is 15. Maker's 24. Aave is 20. Pendle is 31. Radium is 10.
Shit.
Jito is 22. Banana Gun is 1.8. Frentech is 12. But Frentech revenue
it should have
is not going to the token holders. Oh, is it? It's not. I mean, my takeaway is some of these DeFi protocols are very reasonably priced, right? Maker, Lido, Aave, these are, and even Pendle are very reasonably priced. Ethena is a 7.
What's the revenue for Ethena?
30 days, it's 9 million.
Wow.
Okay, but anyway, but Ethena is not really DeFi. Aave, Maker, and Lido, Radium, these are
Uniswap.
Pendle. These are DeFi.
So
which is why I put DeFi in that chart right after the bottom.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gone through the phase, the trough of disillusionment.
I agree. So maybe DeFi could be the next meta, or it will be the meta for value investors, or hedge funds,
institutional liquid funds.
I think retail will not understand this.
Right.
So that's the meta. Okay. What else on that chart?
I don't know. Just so boring. How the fuck Jill Boden go up? What the fuck? Jill Boden went up.
Jill Boden went to 0. I've never seen a token go to 0 like that in my life. No, I have, but
no. Jill Boden went up 60% yesterday overnight.
What? I looked at it last night before I went to sleep, and it was at 4 or 5 cents. What's it at now? It's at 5 cents.
No, I'm not talking about Biden. I'm not talking about Joe Biden. I'm talking about his wife.
Oh,
Jill Boden, not Jill.
Oh, okay. I think you're talking about Geo Boden. Well, one, I think it's pretty clear now that he's incapable of running the country. But the Democrats are arguing against it.
Hey, did you see Bill Ackman's tweet?
Yes.
So he's like
the video comparison, right?
No, he put out a long tweet, and he said, Biden is incapable of judging for himself whether or not he should be running for the presidency. But the reason why he's still running is because of his wife, Jill Biden.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yes.
Jill wants Joe to continue to run because that's the only way for her to stay relevant.
Yeah, with her lavish dinners and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that. The private jet.
Yeah.
This reminds me of, do you remember Succession?
Yeah.
Where the family wanted to take over Logan Roy's company so they could have that lifestyle, like that feel of being powered.
No, I
But
know what you're saying because I also saw a tweet of Hunter Biden pushing his dad to continue to run.
Yes. That's like effectively Kenneth Roy, right?
Who's Ken again? Ken is
Ken's oldest son.
Kendall.
Sorry, Kendall.
No, the oldest son is the guy with gray hair.
Yeah, no. Oh, well, that's the half brother, right?
That's Kendall's number 2.
Yeah.
Or number 1, depending on how.
Yeah.
Depending on who you talk to.
But that's effectively Hunter Biden, right? He's not serious people.
So last Thursday, the debate, I guess we definitely saw a new type of prediction markets. So Boden basically went to 0 that day. And immediately the Kamala Harris coin and the Michelle Obama coin and the Newsom coin, they all went up.
And Gretchen.
They all went up like 100% overnight.
Yeah. Jingtao launched, if you know the Jingtao persona, he launched.
What did he launch?
He launched the Gretchen Whitmer coin. And there was already one a few weeks ago of another one that's similar. So you have the Gretchen coin, you have the Newsom coin, and then you have the Obama, which is the Michelle Obama. So all those 3 went up quite a bit. Yeah. I feel like the Harry Potter Obama token has lost its flair ever since it talked about launching a layer 3 with whoever it was. It's so unfortunate. Meme coin should not go the layer 3 route, layer 2 or whatever. It should stay a meme coin. Well, Doge did launch its own chain, right? I don't know what's happening there. So, okay. So let's talk about where we are in the market. It seems like the market has said that we bottomed. At least a few actors have already said that. Some people say we're chopping. Yeah. What's the update there?
I don't know. Just touch grass for 2 months.
WIF is at $2.30. Let's see. Billy, 7 cents. Boden, 5. What else we got? Popcat, 60 cents. Yeah, they're all stabilized. Mew, Wen, Stan, Slurf. Yeah, all choppy. There was actually a good tweet that I shared with you.
I know which one you're talking about. Every startup needs to have an in-house influencer.
That's right. I think that's true. Someone needs to be the spokesperson. Someone needs to represent the brand. And they have natural network effects because of the followers that they have, and they can create some influence, right?
Just like Berachain.
Just like Berachain, just like Pudgy's.
Just like Pudgy's. Even Vitalik.
Vitalik has his own.
Ethereum. Anatoly for Solana.
Do you remember when the ETH maxis were like, "Oh, the price is going down because Vitalik moved to Farcaster."
Ethereum, quote unquote, Ethereum lost its social layer.
Yeah, because everyone moved to Warpcast, which I thought was very funny. Okay, Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz.
You only remember Andreessen, but not Horowitz.
Yeah, it took me a second, but those two, right? Like they are essentially the influencers, modern day influencers for their firm, which I thought, which makes a lot of sense. When people, even now, like if I would love to talk to Mark Andreessen, right? Yeah. So he still has a lot of influence in the space.
Also, Elon for Tesla and Sam Altman for OpenAI, Jensen for NVIDIA. Like all of them just go on podcast tours every week.
Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Zuckerberg now. Zuckerberg actually changed his public image by going on podcasts and talk like a real human.
Exactly, a real human. He started wearing chains and I don't know if you put like gel on his hair or something, but
getting jacked due to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
He's becoming more human. And before the market perceived him as an alien. Do you remember that famous picture where he looked pale and he had like sweat coming down as the politicians were hammering him with questions?
Testifying in front of Congress.
Yeah. So,
but so the in-house influencer stuff makes sense for these big established companies, but do you think it makes sense for a 3-person startup?
Yes.
I think it's debatable, right? I don't think that's...
someone needs to bring the... Okay, if you're building a product, probably less so, but more so when you're looking to get users to use a product, right? And then kind of grow the user base. It definitely makes sense there. So like the other day, I've been doing user testing for a deck screener competitor. So I don't know if you've seen my tweets, but I've been tweeting a lot about getting product feedback from the user base. So I started putting tweets out. I started getting feedback, and that's really helpful because that feedback is now used to provide a better product experience for users.
Yeah.
And that's how I think feedback should be. And so I do think this quote unquote influencer base is important because you're able to connect and then deliver products based on what they're looking for. Polymarket just hit 100 million in volume.
Cumulative?
First 100 million volume month. And I think it has a lot to do with Joe Biden and like Trump. Joe Biden's like health is adding to the volatility, right? I thought that was pretty interesting. It's funny though, like I was watching somebody put up a clip of some poker match, and I'm trying to learn more about poker ever since I played my first game with you, and I lost horribly.
You didn't lose horribly.
I didn't
$10.
Okay. Well, I don't like losing. So any loss, even if it's $1, means horrible for me. Yeah. So I wasn't very happy with myself. So so I watched some videos just to understand the game a bit more. And while I was watching this one game, Polymarket had advertisements there. Just a general game. It wasn't it was just a
wait, on YouTube?
It was on I watched it on Twitter. There's like live streaming.
Okay.
So it was I forgot who it was, but they're pretty famous people. And the poker board or table, the poker table, had the logo of Polymarket on there in the middle.
Oh, it's a physical table or digital table? Okay.
Or the show table or whatever table where they put the cards.
Okay.
Or something. Yeah. They had the Polymarket advertising on there. So to me, it seems like they're targeting that market, like the speculator market, like the Web2 speculator market.
Yeah, the normies.
The normies, not the crypto.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously there's crypto overlap to it, but I thought that was very interesting.
But the Polymarket, the product isn't, to me, it's not crypto native at all. It geofences US. You have to log in with your Web2 credentials. It's it's designed in such a way that's almost entirely Web2 on the front end.
So what would a crypto native product look like? Are you still thinking tokens?
I mean, the debate night last Thursday, I mean, it definitely showed that we have a new type of prediction market in Boden, in Trump, in Obama, right?
Or Big Mike.
Big Mike. All these coins reacted to the live debate instantly.
Well, funny enough, both nuked.
Yeah.
Trump nuked, and so did Boden.
Trump didn't nuke that much, though.
No, not that much.
But I guess the people were definitely disappointed by Biden, but they were also disappointed by Trump. I thought Trump did really well on All In.
Trump has become, he seems to be a professionalized president now.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed with his responses.
On the live debate or the All In?
I didn't watch the All In.
Okay, the All In one was really good.
Okay.
I thought Trump was very good on that. The live debate, he acted more like a child.
Well, okay, what I'm comparing is this debate to his last debate, where last debate he was more of a child. And so I felt like he held himself better than last debate.
So this debate, he's 4 years older now.
Exactly. Which I was impressed. I thought he was going to be much more aggressive, but he wasn't. And that's primarily because I think thinking more about this is probably because Biden was in a weaker position. And if you came out as aggressive as he did last time around, it may look more negatively on him.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think? Newsom, Obama, Michelle Obama, or Gretchen?
On Polymarket, it says Obama, Newsom, and Kamala Harris are tied. I just don't see Kamala Harris.
She's not serious, people. She just doesn't seem serious to me. I've watched Newsom. he's pretty. I mean, he's well spoken, but I don't know. I don't think Michelle Obama's going to run. I just don't think so. I could be wrong here.
All of them have 4%. It's high. Biden only has 22%. Trump is at 63 now. Pretty sure 2 weeks ago, Trump was in the mid 50s.
All right. So I guess the markets are dependent on who is going to be elected. So we'll see where it goes from here. I
mean, Trump getting elected would be really, really bullish for crypto.
Yeah.
It would be really bullish for all. I was going to say it was really bullish for all markets, for all risk markets.
It's good for everyone's bags.
Yep.
As always, the views expressed in the Good Game podcast are personal to the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any other person or entity. Nothing here should be construed or relied upon as investment, legal, tax, or other advice. Thanks for listening to Good Game. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next week.